So let's go to the very first one, writing your presentation word for word. So one of the biggest and really, I would say most common mistakes that presenters will make is writing out their entire presentation word for word. Most of us learn this technique in middle school or high school. For instance, our teachers will ask us to write a report or a paper, and then later we might be asked to present that paper to the class as an oral report. So we're asked to turn in our paper first and then asked to give a presentation. And so it's kind of training us that in order to give a presentation, you first have to write that thing out longhand. A lot of times teachers actually believe that this is actually a good way to help the student, because if they can clarify their thoughts, they're going to present it in a more effective way. But in reality, if what tends to happen is the person who's up speaking in front of a group will either try to read the presentation word for word or try to memorize the presentation. Both of those things can be very detrimental to not only to their confidence, but also to the delivery and the style that they use. So first of all, when people read a presentation, it will often sound very, 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 very boring. Think about the last State of the Union speech that you heard, even if it's a president you like, by the way. And when was the last time that you were kind of watching that State of the Union speech going, oh man, that's a great speech, right? Ooh, I can't wait to hear more. In reality, most of the time, even with all the applause and the fake applause and all that kind of stuff, it's still, it's just kind of boring, right? So most people don't think of State of the Union addresses as being fantastic speeches. Another mistake that people will make, because these presentations can often become incredibly boring, is that they'll try to memorize the entire speech. So I know when I say this, if I read this, it's going to sound really boring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to memorize this thing. That's going to make me sound better, right? Which doesn't even make sense. That doesn't make sense because you're saying the same thing that you would have said if you were actually reading the speech, but in reality, if you lose your train of thought or you lose your place, you're going to increase your nervousness pretty dramatically. So a better way to design a speech or to deliver a speech is to write out your presentation in kind of an outline format. So identify just the most important things that the audience needs to know about your content, the title, the topic that you're presenting on. Then just create an outline of that event. And by the way, if you want a very thorough description of how to do this, make sure and go back to podcast 3, which is how to design presentations quickly, and you'll find some great details on actually how to do that. So much, 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 much better way than trying to write out your speech word for word.